Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Winter in Vermont is a time to enjoy activities like skiing, skating, and snowmobiling. But for some people, winter leads to feeling down or fatigued. The cold weather and lack of sunlight can also result in changes in sleep patterns or eating habits. These impacts are real. They're a form of clinical depression known as the winter blues, formerly called seasonal affective disorder or SAD. A team at the University of Vermont is recruiting participants for a study on seasonal affective disorder. Across the Fence spoke with the lead researcher about the study and about the symptoms and treatments of SAD.
Seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, is a form of clinical depression that follows a seasonal pattern. Really, the only thing that makes it different from garden variety depression that's not seasonal is that seasonal pattern, where the symptoms are in effect in the fall and the winter months, and then they resolve in the spring and the summer months.
And how prevalent or common is SAD, and what are some of the symptoms that people experience?
SAD is very prevalent in this country and increases with latitude. In Florida, it would be about 1% of the population, and then this increases in the Washington, D.C. area, for example, it would be about 5%. In Nashua, New Hampshire, and Alaska, it would be about 10%. You never see beyond 10%. There seems to be a ceiling effect in human ability to respond to short day length. The symptoms of SAD are the same as the symptoms of depression. They include feeling sad, losing interest in everyday activities, difficulty concentrating, fatigue, significant sleep changes like sleeping too much or difficulty falling or staying asleep, guilt to the point that it affects self-esteem, and in extreme cases, thoughts of suicide or death.
Are some people more at a risk of developing symptoms than others?
Yes, it looks like women are much more affected than men. The gender difference is at least as big as the 2-to-1 gender difference that's been reported for depression globally. It's probably higher in seasonal depression, more like 4-to-1. In addition, the further north that you live, the more vulnerable you are. So here in Vermont, we're in that high bracket of people affected. About 10% of Vermonters should statistically experience seasonal affective disorder. And in epidemiological studies, it looks like young adults in the mid-20s up through the 30s. That's where you find the most cases if you just do a snapshot survey of seasonal affective disorder symptoms.
And what should people that are experiencing these symptoms, or if, like, say, a family member notices any of these symptoms, what should they do?
I strongly recommend against self-diagnosis and self-treatment because it is a form of clinical depression. I think the first thing that someone should do is consult with their physician about a referral to a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a mental health practitioner.
The seasonal affective disorder and COVID-19 now combined present some kind of a double whammy.
It's true. I think we have the perfect storm. If somebody already has a history of depression in the fall and the winter, given all of the stress associated with the pandemic, people with seasonal affective disorder are very sensitive to negative life events, and this is a negative life event on a global scale. So I do think this winter is going to be particularly difficult for people who struggle with seasonal affective disorder. And we may even see some new cases because it's very possible that people who had mild symptoms before COVID will have their coping resources removed.
What treatments are available for people that are experiencing seasonal affective disorder?
There are 3 first-line treatments for seasonal depression. They include antidepressant medications, the same ones that are effective in treating depression, particularly the SSRIs, the selective serotonergic reuptake inhibitors. In addition to medications, there's bright light therapy involving timed administration of artificial light, typically first thing in the morning to simulate an early dawn. This is a very effective treatment for seasonal affective disorder. It's one that should be done under the supervision of somebody who knows about circadian rhythms and mental health. so that the prescription can be just right. And by prescription, I mean, what time of day or times of day specifically does this individual need to use it? And for how many minutes a day in order to get the maximum effectiveness while minimizing any side effects, because there can be side effects. And the third treatment option that's supported by data is a form of talk therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy that would focus on negative thinking patterns and patterns of behavior that seem to feed the symptoms of seasonal depression.
And Dr. Rohan, you have been involved in SAD research for over a decade. What have you learned from your research?
I have learned that thoughts and behaviors play a role in the development of SAD symptoms and represent a target for treatment. My research, as well as research of some of my colleagues, has shown that people with seasonal affective disorder have certain negative thinking styles and certain characteristic patterns of behavior, like going into hibernation mode, that seems to feed the symptoms. And these represent targets for treatment in the form of cognitive behavioral therapy. If we can teach people to cope a bit differently and get out of some of these wintertime habits that serve to maintain the depression, after cognitive behavioral therapy, we see fewer relapses of depression and less severe symptoms in the winter overall, relative to light therapy, which is the leading treatment, the most researched treatment for seasonal affective disorder.
Your research is still ongoing, for seasonal affective disorder, and I understand that you're recruiting participants for a new study. What are you looking for, and who can participate?
Yeah, we have a new clinical trial funded by the National Institute of Mental Health that's running at the University of Vermont. We are seeking adults, age 18 and older, people who believe they have seasonal affective disorder, and we'll find out with a diagnostic interview. It's a randomized clinical trial that's going to compare cognitive behavioral therapy and light therapy, initially in the winter as a treatment, but also up to 2 winters later. We follow our volunteers 1 and 2 winters after treatment because we're interested. And this study in particular, what's really exciting is we're looking at biomarkers or physical traits that we might be changing in people during treatment that contribute to the antidepressant effects of each treatment. If people want to participate, we have a study website, a study phone, and a study email. Those are all good ways to reach out to my staff and learn more.
As Dr. Rohan mentioned, there are 3 ways to learn more about her new study. First, you can go to the website we've listed on your screen. You can also use email. The address is sadstudy@uvm.edu. If you prefer, you can call the research team. The phone number is 802-656-9890. A sure sign of the holiday season is the Christmas tree. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Christmas tree farms can be found in all 50 states. Here at Across the Fence, we think the best tree farms are found in the Northeast and specifically, of course, in Vermont. As Keith Silva learned, when it comes to the best Christmas trees, we aren't the only ones who think Vermont trees are number 1.
The tree I was looking at is a nice looking tree.
Ann Lynn and Brian King have come a long way to cut their Christmas tree. Where are you from, Brian?
Jarrettsville, Maryland.
What are you doing here from Jarrettsville, Maryland?
These are the best Christmas trees we've ever had. Basically, they'll last 6-7 weeks if you keep water in the bucket. It's a lot of fun to come up and cut them. For us, it's a Christmas feature. We've either had a live tree or a tree that we cut all our lives.
We'll check back in with the Kings in a few minutes. Pete, what kind of trees do we have here?
We have balsams.
Oh, just all balsams?
There's a few cananes, but the majority of them are balsams.
And how many? Pete Purinton and his family began planting Christmas trees here in Huntington in 1990. 16,000 trees dot these 14.5 acres. And according to Purinton, each one has a look and a personality all its own.
Trees are like people. Some people are shorter, and some of them are a little wider, and some people are taller and narrower. And trees are the same way. So you take what the tree is offering and work with it.
As for that perfect Christmas tree, Purinton believes beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
That's your choice. It's just like anything else. My perfect tree is not your perfect tree. It's your taste is what will give you that fuzzy feeling. This is my tree.
For about 50 weekends out of the year, a Christmas tree farm is a fairly quiet place. As for those other 2 weekends, not so much.
It's the first and second weekend of December is usually the 2 busiest weekends. Busy would be a weekend, 600 trees. It's a lot of people going through, and the other busy weekend might be 500 or 450, something like that, but better than half your trees are sold on those 4 days.
Choosing and cutting a Christmas tree is a tradition for some families. And as the grower, Purinton plays an important role.
I'm getting to the age where I just talk to people. I don't really do the physical work of it anymore, but I'm out there joking with people because I think that's part of the reason we were successful is because people maybe have gotten used to seeing us every year, and now the next generation's coming back.
So you're part of the family. You're part of somebody. That's going to be pretty special.
Exactly. I'm a part of everybody's Christmas. I'm supplying them with something that they're happy with, that does the job, and it meets their expectations, and it feels good here. Feels good for my children, too.
As for the Kings, they've found their Christmas tree. And in spite of a foot of snow on the ground and a 5-hour car ride before they can get their tree home, it's all worth it.
The difficulty of walking through or having to knock the snow off the tree is more than offset by the beauty and basically the fun of having snow on the ground. Really, it's a great start to Christmas.
When it comes to Christmas traditions, choosing and cutting a Christmas tree is an experience that's sure to be a cut above. In Huntington, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
It's nothing like a Vermont-grown Christmas tree. And that's our program for today. Once again, thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.